Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin, and we're going to be looking at the market cycle ROI from market cycle bottom. So if you guys like the content, please subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. Also, please check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below, as well as the premium list at intothecryptoverse.com. So it's been a couple months since we talked about this, so I just want to provide an update. This is showing the market cycle ROI of Bitcoin from cycle bottom. So the first cycle happened about a decade ago, right? And you can see that the market cycle ROI, it peaked at around 250 days, and then we had a pretty quick and decisive bear market, okay? We had another market cycle, and as measured from market cycle bottom, it had a pretty good ROI, just short of the first cycle. But it took us a lot longer to get there, right? It took several hundred days longer to get to that point. And then we had another bear market. Third cycle, a lot of people lived through this one. Again, same idea, right? The market cycle ROI was less than the previous one, which was less than the previous one as measured by daily data. And it also took us longer to get there, right? So this one took 250 days, give or take. This one took maybe 750 days. This one took somewhere around 11, maybe just short of 1,100 days, 1,050 days or so. So what we see, again, if you're new to the channel, I understand some of you have seen this before, but I do like to provide updates on the channel. If you're new to the channel, the general idea, right, is, lengthening cycles, right, and diminishing return on investment from market cycle bottom. So if we put on the fourth cycle, this is where we currently are. So at current day, we're actually tracking the ROI from the third cycle fairly well. Okay, but note that the second cycle tracked the first cycle fairly well for a few months after the bottom, right? It moved up rather quickly. And ultimately speaking, it then leveled back off, and it took a lot longer to get to that new paradigm shift, right, in the price of Bitcoin. In the same manner, we're similarly placed in terms of our ROI from market cycle bottom as the last cycle, but I don't think we're going to be able to sustain it. And we talked about this market cycle ROI all the way back here, right, when we were above the third cycle, and I said what I expect to happen, right, is for us to continue to just move sideways and ultimately go below the third cycle. And you can see that it's happened more or less. I mean, maybe we pop back above it, but I think for the most part, we're going to spend most of our time below this curve, right? So below cycle 3, so that the market cycle ROI from 3,100, right, which is approximately around 3,100, is the bottom of this market cycle, we suspect. I think we're going to not experience quite as significant as an ROI as we did last cycle, so we won't see 100x ROI, and it'll take us longer to get there. So one possible path would be something like this, right? And obviously we would then have a bear market following it, but you can see in the same manner we'd slowly move up. It would lag behind the last cycles, and it would also peak out at a ROI less than the last cycles. And I've showed many videos that show that I think from market cycle bottom, the return on investment of Bitcoin this cycle will probably be somewhere between 30 to 40x. And if the market cycle bottom is around 3,100, it puts us at around 100K, right? Depending on whether it's closer to 30x or 40x, it's going to be somewhere around 100K. I tend to think that it'll be somewhere between 100 to 200K, but more locally speaking, I think maybe between 120 to 140K, somewhere in that ballpark. We'll see if it makes it there. And you can see that ultimately speaking, obviously we're going to have another bear market following it, which will bleed into the next halving. Now, you have to recognize too, we're not going to go up monotonically. We're not just going to go up and up and up. There's going to be a lot of volatility. And so I just kind of drew these uncertainty regions, right? Because we don't know exactly where the ROI is going to be at any given point in time. But I think in general, it's going to trend upwards, right, over the next 3 years. It's going to, in general, trend upwards. In the short term, of course, we could go down. But over the long term, I think it's going to slowly trend upwards. And the thing is, right, is for my 4-year cycle, people that think we're going to peak next year recognize that in order for us to do that, Bitcoin really needs to get moving, right? It needs to get to a $20,000 Bitcoin, a sustainable $20,000 Bitcoin within the next 3 to 4 months. Okay, so beginning of 2021, it needs to get to a sustainable 20K in order for us to even have a chance at seeing that new paradigm shift in the price of Bitcoin, maybe like $100,000 Bitcoin in 2021. What I think it's going to take much longer, because as we've seen before, in order for Bitcoin to get to the prior all-time high, it's more of a slower move up, right? It takes longer to move up, and each step along the way, and so I just think that it's going to take us longer to move back up to 20K, and then once we get there, then we can more or less go parabolic. So one way people visualize it better, right, is to remove the bear markets and to look at it like this, right? To look at a pretty short bull market, but explosive, longer, slightly less explosive, longer again, 100x ROI, longer again, maybe a 30 to 40x ROI. If we continue on the path, maybe the fifth cycle will maybe be like a 10 to 20x ROI, right? Probably closer to 10x if I had to guess. So this is ultimately how I see the cycles of Bitcoin playing out, and I think that we're just approximately at this point during the fourth cycle. So again, it's not, and I've said all along, I believe in lengthening cycle. I think lengthening cycles are the name of the game. It doesn't mean that 4-year cycle theory can't be true. I just think the probability of it being true is very low. So one of the most common questions I get, right, is, well, what would make you change your mind? Well, the first prerequisite, right, in my opinion, would be that Bitcoin would need to get to a sustainable 20K within the next 3 to 4 months. Okay, if it can get there, then we'll talk. We'll talk about that possibility. But I sincerely doubt it's going to get to a sustainable 20K in just one more quarter. I just really don't see it happening. I don't think Bitcoin's going to go up 2x and then sustain that 2x move because we're lower than the all-time high, right? We're not even in price discovery mode yet. That comes after we get to the prior all-time high. So from 10K to 20K, I think it's going to be a slow, it's going to be like stepping stones, right? And maybe we go 2 steps up, 1 step back. But it's going to take, a fairly significant amount of time, in my opinion, to get there. So this is the general idea. So we're gonna look at one more thing. But before we do, remember, if you want to check out the premium list, go to intothecryptoverse.com. The prices are going up in 6 days. So if you want to get grandfathered in at the lower prices, make sure you sign up in the next 6 days, because otherwise the prices are going up. And you'll have to pay the higher prices. But for those who get in now or in the next 6 days, you'll be able to continue to pay the lower price. On the premium list, you get access to a private Telegram alerts channel, which is where I tell you my candid thoughts on the market. You get access to a private Telegram chat room. Okay, you get access to the risk dashboard, which is what I use to trade. You get access to a dynamic DCA selling dashboard, which is how you can plan out your trades. Also weekly reports, a weekly premium report, and a weekly premium video. So you get a lot of stuff. If you want to check it out, make sure you sign up in the next 6 days before September 28th to get access at the lower prices. So again, the last thing I wanted to show is we're just going to pull up, and for those who have seen the channel many times, or you've seen these videos many times, you can probably go ahead and tune out at this point, because we're not going to be saying anything new in this section. But I just want to reiterate for the people that are new to the channel, one of the other reasons we talk about these lengthening cycles again is because no matter how you measure it, and we're just going to remove some of these moving averages so it's easier to look at. No matter how you measure it, the cycles are getting longer, right? Whether you measure it from, say, bottom to bottom. Let's measure those 3 different bottoms. So we have 448 days, 1162 days, 1428 days. We would anticipate the next bottom to bottom maybe is 2000 days or so, something like that. Okay, and it probably would be somewhere up here. And then you measure it bottom to top. So let's measure it bottom to top. This is around 308 days. The next one is around 749 days, 740 days, somewhere maybe 730, 742. The next one was 11,000 or 1,078. So again, it's continuing to increase. We would anticipate this one taking even longer, maybe peaking in, say, 2022, 2023, 2024. Probably 2023 would be my guess, something like that. Finally, if you measure it top to top, again, it's 896 days, and then 1,498 days, and then therefore we would expect this to continue as well, maybe about 2,000 days or so. So again, sometime in 2023. So no matter how you measure it, to me, it seems like, right, we're looking at lengthening cycles. And again, as you can see before, price only goes parabolic once we get to the prior all-time high. So you can see before we get to the prior all-time high, it's more of a slower move up. Once we get to the prior all-time high, we go parabolic. So this is why I'm saying this cycle, I think it's more of a slower move to the prior all-time high, right? Something like this. And then once we get there, then we can go parabolic, right? This is the general idea. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you subscribe to the channel at the very least. Check out the Telegram channel. Give the video a thumbs up. And if you want access to the premium list, make sure you sign up in the next 6 days into thecryptoverse.com to get grandfathered in at the lower prices. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye.